everybody, it's Drake TV Beyblade here, and today we are going to make bay bread. We've seen Valt's mom do it on the show. She's a baker, right? And you can see them eating bread that she's made look like Beyblades. So we are going to start by making the dough, shaping it, baking it. We'll do all of it. Which one are you going for? I'm going to try to make Valkyrie.
I'm going to try to make Valkyrie. This like they're all the whole time.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like we need to make a pretty big batch. So we're going to make what's called a large batch of Boule, which is just a basic dough. It only has a few ingredients: flour, yeast, salt, and water. We'll let it rise for a couple hours, then we'll shape our dough, bake it, and see how it turns out. All right, so there will be 2 different recipes in the description of this video. One for a smaller batch, and one for the batch we're gonna make, because we're gonna make quite a few Beyblades, I think. All right, so we are going to start by taking 6½ cups of unsifted flour, 1½ tablespoons of salt, 1½ tablespoons of yeast, and 3 cups of water. But first, we need to get our yeast activated. All right, you wanna do this, Drake?
Yep.
All right, so the recipe calls for either 1½ of those little envelopes you can get, like the packets, but we have this, and I know that for this recipe, it requires 1½ tablespoons. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in. Okay, so we do 3 of these. Go ahead. Okay. Just make sure it's pretty even. This is a pretty forgiving dough, and that is a good thing.
3.
All right, cool. And I've already measured out our 3 cups of warm water here. All right, yeah, go ahead. Let's get that in here.
Hey, that's hot.
Oh, it shouldn't be hot.
Very hot.
Yeah, it shouldn't hurt anything.
Stir it up some.
Yep, and you can actually go ahead and put your salt in at this step as well. Okay? All right, and you also do 1½ tablespoons of salt. This is just kosher salt. Any sort of salt will work, as well as any sort of flour. We just have normal all-purpose. Normally I use unbleached. I don't see the point in bleaching it, but just plain flour. You can use bread flour, you can use whole wheat. If you use whole wheat flour though, you will need more water. I can't tell you exactly how much, just till the dough looks right, and you'll see that. I mean, it just soaks up more of the water, it gets really dry. All right, so, are you eating salt off the table? That is gross. All right, we're gonna let this dissolve, and we are just going to let this sit here for about 3-4 minutes, and the yeast will get happy, activated, and it will begin to develop like just a foam on top, and that's when we know it's time to add the flour. And our water may have been a tiny bit warm. You don't quite want it steaming like that, but I don't think it's gonna hurt anything. All right, now we wait. All right, so it looks like our yeast has activated. See the nice foam and bubbles there. All right, and you can do this with using cool tap water as well, but it will take longer for it to rise. This will be ready to shape and reproof in about 2 hours. If you use cooler water, it takes about 3 or 4. So it's just best to get it a little warmer than your body temperature, around 100 degrees or so. All right, so now you just take this, and we are going to put in 6½ cups of all-purpose flour. You're right. This does not require kneading, so it's just super, super simple. We will just mix it with the spatula in the bowl. All right, I had a measuring cup here. There it is. All right, so 6½ cups. You want to try to get it fairly even, but there again, we're doing this because we want it to be easy, and it does not have to be perfect. Very forgiving dough. Yeah, it makes a little bit of a mess. All right, you want to dump these in? There we go. Ooh, we need to be a little more calm with this. I wouldn't eat flour plain. It's not very good. I'm just saying. Okay, so that's 2.
I'll do it. There we go. That was pretty good, plain.
I kind of just want to brush the top of it off to get it sort of even. And 3.
And number 3.
Yeah, help me get it out of there.
And number 4.
And 4. Like I said, there is a smaller batch in case your parents do not want you using 6 cups of their flour.
6 cups? Are you doing 6 cups?
6½ So now we're at 5. I should keep up with what I'm doing here.
5.
All right, 5.
There's 5.
We're almost there. And come on, help me get it out of there.
6.5.
6? No, you got to do a half. And we're just going to eyeball this. I don't have a half cup out, but this is a cup. So if we fill it about halfway up, I'd say we're about there. That is a half a cup. Now, you just want it to incorporate. I'll show you what it looks like. Let me start it, and then I'll let you take over. Like I said, it is very forgiving. If you feel like it is not incorporating well, you can put some flour or actually even water on your hands and get your hands in there to help it. Yeah, you can stir some. It's more of having to swipe it though, like this, Drake. It's called folding.
I like folding.
That way you can really get it. See how you're kind of folding it? Get up and under it. Go ahead. Oh, there we go.
It's alive.
It is alive.
It's so creepy.
All right, let me see here.
Can I try a piece?
It's a little difficult to start. You don't want to try raw dough. If you really want to try raw dough, it will not hurt you. It will not taste good. All right, so Drake is going to try some raw dough. Not sure why, but he's going to do it. All right, here you go. Do not spit it back in this bowl. What do you think?
Good.
It seems like you like it. What does it taste like? You're not going to sit and eat raw dough. No.
It's good. I like.
All right,
I like raw cookie dough, so I like.
Yeah, but
raw
this ain't cookie dough, dude.
Yeah, but it's good. I like any raw dough.
Raw dough, huh?
Yeah.
Let's make sure it doesn't have like raw eggs in it.
That's good.
Okay, so this is actually about right. You just want it to incorporate. It will be wet. It will be a little loose, but as soon as it comes together, you just need to cover it. And funny thing, Drake, can you hand me that trash bag? Since we do such a large batch at such a large bowl, I use a trash bag. I would make sure it's not a scented trash bag. I cannot guarantee it wouldn't affect the flavor of the dough. So, like, I've seen lavender trash bags and ones that have, like, Gain Fresh scent. I wouldn't suggest using one of those, would you? You'll have laundry tasting bread. All right, so we are just going to tie this up, put it in a warm, draft-free place, so free of, like, you know, a breeze. I'm sure there are breezes in the house, but...
Like in our front yard.
Yeah, we're not going to put it in the front yard. It's a little cool outside today. We will put it somewhere to rest for about 2 hours. It will double, if not triple in size. I've had it almost come up out of this bowl before. And then, yeah, we will be ready to make our bay bread. So, step 3 coming soon. All right, Drake, you ready to check out and see if our dough rose?
Yep.
I switched the bowls before I let it rise. And I'm glad I did because it looks like it rose pretty impressively. Here goes the big reveal. Oh yeah. So that is after a couple hours in a warm spot. I chose to stick it in the microwave with it off, of course. All right, let's put this over here. Okay, so at this step, you actually can begin to shape it. It's a little difficult to shape. It's best if you could put it in the fridge for overnight or even 3 hours. Cold dough is less sticky, but we're gonna use some flour and go ahead and start making some bay bread. All right, so when we did step 2, and that was letting the dough rise for a couple hours, that was a success. You saw the reveal on step 2. Now we are on to shaping the dough. Now we tried to make bread yesterday out of this dough, but it was still really, really sticky, right? It was all over our hands. We couldn't work with it at all. You usually can add flour, but this happened to be just really difficult to work with. So refrigerating it for 3 hours to overnight like we did works wonders. So we are gonna go ahead and start shaping some bay bread. We are going to do that on parchment paper because, like I said, it's sticky and it will need to reproof, which just means to rise a second time, about 30-40 minutes after you shape it. And then you'll bake it in a really hot oven. A baking stone is preferred if you have one, but if not, it'll bake fine without one. But I put my oven on 500 degrees. Yep. It's really hot, right? You can also use a pail and put it directly on a stone. That's really difficult. You can use cornmeal flour, but parchment's fine. We put it directly on the stone on the parchment, but if you don't have that, use a baking sheet. No big deal, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we are going to get started. Put some flour on your parchment, get some flour on your hands. Sometimes wet hands work too, but I prefer flour. All right, so So Drake has already determined he wants to make a Valkyrie. So we are going to focus mostly on the 3 little wing tips here, possibly the little wing shape in the middle, definitely the V, because obviously we can't make it look just like this, but just like Valt's mom, we want to make it look like it represents the beys, right?
Yep.
And we have edible ink markers too, because I noticed some of hers in pictures I've seen have color to them.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Enough talking, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, a lot easier to work with today. So you just get a nice piece of bread, and I start by taking it, stretching it, folding it under, just to get it ready to work with. Sometimes, depending on the container, what this bowl obviously was not airtight. The top is slightly dry, but that's okay. So you just have a nice little ball to start with, okay?
That's cold, God.
It's gold,
Ooh.
but feel it, it's not near as sticky. You see that?
I think it's as near sticky.
Not near as sticky. All right, go ahead, let's get to work. So this is a little thick because like I said, this will rise again. You don't want to work with it too long, but obviously we are going to start with a circular shape, and you can use whatever you have. I have all these different cutters and things because sometimes I do cakes. Biscuit cutter here, even a glass would be absolutely fine. Just like a cup, anything, even a bowl, anything that'll make a circle. I found that was easier. Kind of stretch it out a little flatter, make it a little bit thinner, whatever you want to do for yours. All right, I'm going to use the bigger one.
I'll use the smaller one.
So we're going to start with that. And just kind of put this over to the side. It can go back in there. All right, so now that we have our circle, I am going to make a little face bowl out of some of the leftovers. Well, these don't really have face bowls. Some of them have God chips there, right? Okay, we're going to place that in the center. And like I have this triangle here, and I actually even have a V. I made some practice bread the other day, and I was able to cut out a V and then just use a small knife. I use an X-Acto knife, not sure if parents will let you use that, but it does make really nice cuts in fondant or bread dough like this. All right, but the big thing is to make it look like a Beyblade is the edges. So you want to get in there. We'll be showing a close-up of this in a minute, right, Drake?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to show you how to do it, though, okay? So you want to get in there, and you want to cut and pull it away. And you want to kind of overcut on purpose because, like I said, this will reproof. And as it spreads back out, it can actually seal back up where you've already made your nice cuts.
May I borrow this, please?
You certainly can.
Thank you, because it won't go through. Thank you.
And if you're having a hard time cutting it, flouring the top of your bread, as well as flouring the inside of what you're cutting with, okay? You push down, and you gotta really not be afraid of it because you don't want to work it too much. And when you do work it, you really want to just go for it. So we've got our nice wings here. We've got this. All right, we're gonna keep working, and I am going to do an up-close video, I think, of how I make Valkyrie, as well as Los Longinus. All right, so we are going for Valkyrie. And as said, the 3 things that I'm going to pay the most attention to, well, really 4, are these 3 cuts here. We will make this portion here. And I think I'm just going to do a circle in the center and use our edible ink to draw the V on. I have made a V before. It's kind of hard, even though I have a cutter, so we're going to stick with that. All right, let's start with our middle. Like I said, I'm lucky enough to have these cutters. If you don't have this, get creative. I mean, you could use anything, really, if you have a Play-Doh set. You could freehand it. Whatever you've got works fine. All right, that is pretty sticky. But like I said, it's dough, it's forgiving, it can be reshaped. Just get it as close to the center as you can. Try to get it back into a circle. All right, there we go. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut these shapes in. And like I said, I like using an X-Acto knife. I do for fondant as well. However, a regular knife, metal knife, if you have a cutter like this, any of these things will work. All right, so you kind of want to go in there kind of at an angle, and don't be afraid. And like I said, you want to over-exaggerate the cut and separate it, because as it re-rises, this actually could rise and reconnect this. And we don't want that. We want it to have the cut. So then you go over here, just following the Beyblade, and cut one about here. Okay, and then the same thing down here. Sometimes I even, on some of the test ones I did, I cut some of the bread out. Those probably made for the prettier ones, but this works too. Like I said, you want to over-exaggerate the cuts, so when it reproofs, you still have a shape. And right here, you're going to get a point. Just kind of push it in so it's back circular. All right, the next thing we are going to do is make this portion right here. What you do, just take the excess from where you cut the circle out. Now I also made one where I drew that portion on. That looked just as good. Like I said, if you are lucky enough to have edible ink markers, they make it a lot of fun and make some of the decorating a whole lot easier. Alright, I want this fairly thin, even though I don't want to work the dough to the point that it looks pretty, but it doesn't taste very good. But it will rise on top, and otherwise you'll end up with this weird little thing on top that is way bigger than a lot of the bay. So, alright, just going to kind of go with the thinnest part in the middle there and eyeball this shape. A little bit of flour on top, make it easier to cut. Okay. There's the first one. It doesn't look like much, but just kind of keep going. It will work itself out. Okay. All right. Now, start by just cutting lines in it till we have the 4 little strips to represent this part of the bay. If it doesn't feel like it wants to stick together very well, I'll have a spray bottle, just spray the top of the bread before I put these pieces on. They're wanting to stick to me. Okay, make that a little bit more pointy. Alright, so there we are with Valkyrie. So I'm just going to put it over to the side and leave it alone. Let it re-rise a little bit. About 40 minutes, we'll put it in a very hot oven. See how it turns out. Now sometimes these do not rise like you think. This bread, as it expands and rises, the air needs to find a way out. I'm hoping where we scored it here instead of on top will take care of that. Sometimes though it decides to come out wherever it wants. So it's best to make a lot of these. Some of them are pretty and some not so much. Alright, so the other one I want to go for is Los Longinus. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and make the cuts again. So I see that he has 2 larger pieces there and then 2 smaller on the sides. That's mostly what I'm going to aim for here. Okay, so this one goes at an angle like this. Just kind of cut it. And I'm going to show you that you can do this even with the plastic knife. Just may want to put a little bit of flour on there so it doesn't stick so much. Okay, and then in like this. So not as clean as using the X-Acto knife, but still pretty good. Alright, so now time to make the dragon heads. And I'm just gonna, there again, pull it out rather thin. Don't want to spend too much time playing with it. Like I said, we still want it to taste good. Alright, so I'm just going to cut out the basic shape. Go this way. Going up and down like that because it tends to make going through the dough a little bit easier. A little bit of flour if it's being difficult. It does take time. Is it. Now it needs to rise, and right when I sit it down I do one more thing. See how it's already, if you can see that, kind of starting to rise a little bit and starting to join back together, and all those cuts we made are like going away, all the work going down the drain. I would just go back in and do it a little bit deeper. Alright, that's it. Now it sits for about 30-40 minutes. It will get a little puffier, and you can take this and put it directly on a sheet pan, put it in your oven. If you have a pizza stone, put it directly on that. 500 degrees. Sometimes I spritz it with a spray bottle. Makes a better crust. Do not be surprised if these parts brown a little faster. That's okay. Now, I mean, it shouldn't burn before the rest of it gets done. But if you do see that happening, you could always place a little bit of tinfoil over it. Whatever you want. Alright, so we'll let this rise and get it in the oven. Alright, Drake. So we took them out of the oven.
Yep.
We cooled them.
Yep.
And here they are. We even went ahead and decorated a couple of our Valkyries with the edible ink. And like I mentioned, these get a little dark, but the ink helped that right away.
That one looks good.
These here were having a hard time getting brown, so I did an egg wash. Thought that was pretty cool. Alright, you want to help me draw on some of these?
Yep.
Give them some more decoration?
Let's do it.
Alright, let's do it. Alright, so we're back for the final step, right?
Yep.
They're out of the oven. They are cooled. And we've already decorated a couple of them here. So, and it looks like they turned out pretty good. I mean, like I was saying, Los Longinus, one of his wings kind of shifted this way, but it's still, I think it's a pretty good job. What do you think? Yeah, I'm pleased with it. Okay, so we've already colored our Valkyries. Do you want to give some of these guys
Yep.
a little bit of color? All right, so I did this one here, the 4 wings to represent the dragoon layer. So I think I'm going to add some red and stuff to that. Which one do you want to work on? We don't really have gray for Los Longinus. I had some silver, but it ran out, but that's black. But what you could do, you see where the eyes are? I was saying this could look cool. You could go in and draw a little red eye on the other side. You see that?
Yeah.
And then he's clear mostly, but you could probably go in and do some light gray like that. You see that?
Yep.
That looks pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that.
All right, you do that. So we're going to color on these for a minute, and then we'll let you see what we came up with, right? And this is just a basic Beyblade shape. I mean, I did this for Drake's cupcakes for his birthday party. Remember last year? Out of the fondant. Easy. Hey, that looks really, really good. So there is our Los Longinus. All right, we'll show you guys an up close of our bread, and I think that's a wrap. All right, so here it is, the final product. How do you think we did, Drake?
Good.
I think we did pretty good. We made some bay bread. I think that's about it for today. If you liked our video, please give us a thumbs up. Let us know. If you have any issues making the bread or need any help, just comment and I'll do my best. I hope that you have a successful bay bread experience like we've had, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it was a lot of fun, and I guess we will see everyone next time.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, grab your Beyblade. Grab one. I'm gonna do Valkyrie.
I'm gonna do my last one.
Hey, ready? 3, 2, 1. Let it rip. We're dorks.